So we're back again in concepts, and we're just going to go through some quick tips just to kind of wrap everything up in terms of sketching. So let's just give ourselves a little title here. I'm going to repeat a couple of things that I've been talking about, but I really want you all to understand how important they actually are. Number one is don't worry about being messy. Go, jump right in, ask yourself those questions, and just keep going. Like you saw, I created a home screen pretty quickly, and I started understanding that, maybe we do need these elements here. They're going to probably be useful. And I started learning about what content I can actually get from just like a quick sketch like that. And from there, we can actually go in and start refining that a bit more. Add icons, figuring out maybe that's an avatar, figuring out what type of information goes in here. Like we found out that we needed a heart. And maybe we need a price tag. Most definitely need a price tag, but this is the kind of stuff that it's just a natural progression. And you don't worry about drawing something like this, because eventually it's going to get to something even better and to the product that we eventually built. But don't worry about being messy. Like I said, be lean, agile, sketch quickly, and save yourself some time instead of worrying about the detail. The next tip is, it takes a little practice, but only a little. Think about it as building blocks. All you need are some squares, rectangles, maybe circles, and you can build a fairly decent UI, like we've done before. Like our card screen is, just an X. Whatever text we have there, we have a square, some lines, another square. To us, we understand what we're building here. We can refine that if we're going to present it to teammates. We got a fairly good understanding of what we need to build a screen like this. Don't worry about it too much. If you want to have a little bit of practice, like you can go and open an app that you love or a website that you love, and you'll try just sketching that out, just using some shapes or like some basic type. And eventually you'll just develop your own type of system for sketching. And there really is no wrong or right way to do it. It's just whatever's going to work for you. Next step. Keep your sketches safe. Buy yourself a folder, please. If you're doing it digitally, that's great too, because services like this will allow you to export it in JPEG or whatever file format. It doesn't really matter for sketches like this. If you're using paper, store it in a folder, scan it right away, take a picture, please, because I can't count how many times I've lost sketches that I really needed or I really liked. And sometimes you lose details. Just remember, keep them safe. Always be prepared. Keep a sketch pad near you, a pencil, a pen with you. On my desk at home, I always have my sketchbook. It's a dotted line sketchbook, so it's really easy for drawing wireframes and stuff like that. So keep something with you if you like to draw digitally, like on an iPad, or if you have a tablet that you draw on, like a Wacom tablet. Keep that by your side because, you never know when an idea is going to come. You just never know when you need to sketch. Keep it by your side. Another thing I like to do is I like to hang my sketches up. So say if I have some sort of board beside me or a wall, I just like to hang up my sketches for some inspiration, and then I just write additional notes. If I'm working from home, I have my whiteboard that I hang up, and it serves as a daily reminder just so I can see what I've been thinking about. I can maybe scrap some ideas. I can maybe take this new idea that I have or this old idea I have, and, maybe something else comes from it, because I've taken some time to just take some breathing. Just put it up for yourself. And if you're working with teams, they help as well, because other people can kind of get into it and they can start to provide some valuable insight. You want to keep people on your team participating, so that's the best thing I've always found is just put your sketches up, share them. And that leads me to my next tip over here. My next tip is to kind of communicate. Just please communicate. Don't hide these gems that you're making, and I call them gems because every product starts from something like this. That may not seem true, but that's what really is the skeleton of your product. They'll always start from a messy sketch. So share them with people because this is a collaborative process. Share them with your team. Talk to every teammate. It doesn't matter. They'll always provide valuable insights. We talked a little bit about a certain feature over here where there was going to be a carousel. We'll just quickly draw it again. And if a user swiped left, the new image would come in. And if I were to develop a feature like this or build a feature like this, first person I would talk to would be a developer, and I would like to understand, is this feasible for our timeline? what's the best way to do it, and you can have those conversations early on. Next thing I like to do is I mentioned it briefly about like putting your sketches up, but some people like to get a big whiteboard and sketch on the whiteboard. And that's totally fine too. I love sketching on whiteboards. Now, it's very collaborative and it's easy to involve team members in this discussion. And, when you're just drawing screens, everyone can kind of just come in, point certain things out. Because it's marker, nobody really gets tied to the details. Everyone's thinking about like the overall flow. You have so much space. Sometimes you'll be surprised at how fast you can actually fill that up with your whole team. And what I also like to do is I like to pin my sketches there as well. So maybe they have some sort of relation to a certain screen. It's a good jumping off point for yourself so you can kind of go back to your desk or wherever you're working and start thinking about different things that could relate. And one of the last tips I have, and I do this fairly often, sometimes I'll grab a sketch. So if I have our search experience, like so, it's easy to just sketch these out, but sometimes you don't necessarily get like a feel for the product. That's natural. It's because it's on paper or it's just static. And sometimes you want to understand, like, how does that feel when the user actually clicks this? So what you can do is you can export like individual frames, any which way you want to do it. Like you can export this whole thing here in concepts, this whole canvas, and you can kind of duplicate it and crop it to crop out each individual frame. And you can bring it into Figma and link it together in a prototype. And bam, you have like something super simple, and it'll give you a little bit more context on how it will actually work in the digital product. So sometimes I'll do that, or I'll scan in a sketch, and that will really help me to figure that out if things actually work while I'm tapping it on a mobile screen. It'll also give me a sense on, these elements need to be bigger than I thought. Maybe it's not going to work here. So like on the home screen, we thought about things like the little hearts, but, maybe we'll realize that that's not really feasible for a user to tap. Maybe it is for larger images on a mobile screen, but maybe if we're thinking about smaller ones, maybe we leave that out there because it's a little confusing and the user may go to tap that and then actually tap into the image when they didn't want to. Where do they go? They go to like that product description page that we've been talking so much about. All these different tips are going to really help you create a much better user experience. It's going to help you like drive that communication throughout the whole team, create that collaborative process. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to make you a better designer. It's going to make your users happy. So follow these tips, follow that process we talked about earlier in the lesson, and you're well on your way to sketching some amazing interactions and different types of flows.